Hi, I'm Clermont City Manager Darren Gray, coming to you from City Hall with news and stories about Clermont, the Choice of Champions. First up, we will be visiting GoZone. It's the hot new trend in libraries. We're not talking about books, we're talking about 3D printers and more. Cooper Memorial Library is the first library in Lake County to have a makerspace. Let's see what the GoZone is all about.
This is the GoZone. We started conceptually in January, and in 6 months we put together this area. It's a makerspace. It's the first makerspace in Lake County. A makerspace is an area where people can come and create content, and it's creating anything. We have a cross-stitch group that comes here. We've got quilters. We have robotics Lego club that comes in. We have people that come and do Photoshop and photo editing, video editing. We have vinyl cutters, 3D printers. Anything that people's hearts desire, if there's something they want to create, they come in and we show them how to use the equipment and they create. This is something that's on the cutting edge of library services. It's where the library world is going in general, where it makes the library relevant, and we wanted to make sure that Lake County didn't fall behind. People are wanting more than just to come and get consumable information, books. People want to come and explore ideas and concepts with other people. So think of the library as a place where people can meet information or meet other people, and now with a makerspace they can now come and generate information or meet other people who have similar interests. When I started, I still had to, people still had to stamp the back of the book, and limited numbers of copies of bestsellers had to circulate for a long time. But libraries have progressed, with computers, and every time something new comes along, everyone heralds the death of the library, and yet the library is where everyone comes to do that new thing. And so adapting to change is, for 26 years, that's what we've done. The GoZone is geared towards people 12 and up. And we've had people younger than 12 come and use it, and people as old as 90. We had one gentleman who was 90 who came in and wanted to learn how to use some of the equipment. So there's not really a typical user other than my typical user is someone who's curious about new technology. Well, everyone's afraid of something new or different or change, and what makes the makerspace that we have here, the GoZone, viable for those people is that they can come in and they can try the new technology and they can try out new things without fear of failure, because they have no money invested in it, they have only their time. And familiarity sort of alleviates the fear. So if people come in, say they want to try photography, we have all the equipment you need to do professional grade photography. They can come in, try it out. If they mess up, they can try it again, and no harm, no foul, and they didn't invest thousands of dollars in equipment. Yeah, another aspect of the GoZone is we have our main person, Andrea Geringer, who is trained in all of this equipment, and she can be booked on a one-on-one session to actually learn how to use all of the different equipment we have in here.
Well, I'm going to be setting up the 3D printer to print a project for us. Right now we're just doing a test print of a particular symbol important to sci-fi fans everywhere. This particular printer is mostly going to be utilized for our new 3D scanner, which we are going to be allowing the public to utilize in just a few days. But with the scanner, all they have to do is see the object, scan it, and then they can print a replica of it, which is pretty impressive. What's really ideal for the scanner is something that's about 12 inches tall. Heads, busts work really well for that. So if you need a replica of yourself, a friend, a family member, you can bring them in, scan them. It takes about 10 minutes to complete a scan, and then we can print it for you. We are using PLA plastic, which is plant-based, it's biodegradable, and it is going to heat up the print head, which is part of the actual cartridge that is utilized, to the appropriate temperature. I think it's, I can't remember, 200 something. And then once it is to the appropriate temperature, it'll start laying down layers and layers of plastic. So this one is utilized for people who design things on computer number 1. So they can design basic polygons into complex shapes and print it out, or they can take files that they found online and print those as well. This one is integrated with the scanner, so they scan, they upload that particular scan to the software, and then we can print straight from there. I'm a big fan of the heads just because it's so awesome to see people's reactions to a small replica of themselves. But one of the things that I've seen people design that's pretty cool are pieces for computer hardware. So I think they were doing something with a Raspberry Pi or possibly an Arduino, and they were making a case for their component. So now what it's doing is it's purging its jets, which is probably just going to be the blue. And there you go. Now it's starting that base layer. So to make something like this head, all you have to do is have the individual come in, have a seat, and you take an iPad that has a scanner attached to it, and you simply point the scanner in their direction, you hit the start button, and then you walk 360 degrees around the individual, making sure to get both above and below the head. And what it'll do is it'll fill in that particular individual's face with thousands and thousands of tiny triangles as it picks up what the surface and the texture of their face and hair are. And then once it renders the scan, it'll actually do color. So it'll somewhat replicate your skin tone, your hair color, what you're wearing, etc. And then we turn that into a file that we can actually print into whatever color plastic we have available.
It's free. We asked some of the things, we do have consumables that cost. Some things are on the county's fee schedule, but other things we ask for a donation because it's being supported by our friends at the library. And a donation to the Friends helps sustain it. Things such as the vinyl cutter, vinyl, and the large format printer. You know, I equate predicting the future of the library the way people used to predict the future of the radio, because television was going to kill radio, and then, you know, DVDs were going to kill movies and all that, but none of that ever happens. People still go to the movies, people still listen to the radio. The libraries are the same thing. It's still a place where people can, a fun, safe, warm, inviting environment in which you can come and explore your own interest or get together with like-minded people to explore new and wonderful things. Well, libraries are sort of a cornerstone of democracy. There are many stories that can be told about people who have come to this country, or people who were born in this country and have come to the library and learned new skills, learned ways of thinking that they didn't know before, have gotten themselves into school through their own efforts. Our early learning initiatives, things like toddler time and early story time, helps give children a love of learning, which they may or may not have access to at home, where we're stimulating their curiosity. One of the most recent things we've done here through a grant is bought little pads called playaways, and we check those out and the kids take them home, and it's an interactive STEM-driven learning environment for kids. It's just like using an iPad, but it has all the software in there, and they can't break them, and they bring them back. We recharge them and check them out again to someone else. So I mean, there's that sort of effort helps children foster a love of learning that lasts through their lifetime. Reading is important, and it's it's our main mission, but there's also like the Go Zone here, where you may read about something, but learning to use something to create your own content, that's the new part of the library. If people need more information about the Go Zone or anything we have available here at Cooper Memorial Library, they can give us a call at 352-536-2275. That's our main line. We're open Monday through Thursday, 9 to 7, and Friday and Saturday, 9 to 1.
What a fun place to explore. Next, we'll be checking out what might be the most relaxing spot in downtown Clermont. But first, let's turn the pages back and take a look at Clermont's history. Clermont certainly has a fascinating history. And speaking of history, the next place we'll visit was once a bank that was supposedly robbed by members of Ma Barker's gang. Today, it's one of downtown Clermont's favorite destinations. Sit back and relax as we visit the Clermont Herb Shop and Day Spa.
we do here at the shop and spa is very different than where you're going to find on really any place else. A lot of times when you go to different spas, it's all about just making a little bit more money. What we do here is we're really about the health. This shop, what we do is we really focus on education. Education is critical because the health of this country is so bad. Everybody's just used to, here, take a pill and you're gonna be better. That's not the way it works. It's not easy. It takes a lot more than that to stay healthy these days. There's too many toxins, there's too many things that are going on. So what we try to do is empower our customers that they need to know they need to make the right decisions, and it's up to them. Their health is not up to me, it's up to them. If they want to get better, there are things that they need to do, and we're going to help them. We'll explain to them, give them some options, and then they need to go and educate themselves. One of the things that we offer, and it's interesting because we used to do the thermography once a year. I'm now up to 4 times a year, and I'm always solid booked, so I may have to bring on another one.
Well, thermography is a way of imaging the body in the infrared spectrum. It's considered a medical device, our camera. However, it's usually used by holistic practitioners, functional medicine doctors, integrative doctors, because they understand the value of knowing where inflammation is in the body. Inflammation is the very first spark of most disease processes, especially the big ones like cancer, heart disease, autoimmune diseases. They all start with a little spark of inflammation. So instead of waiting all the way for a disease process to manifest itself as symptoms, oftentimes we can see that inflammation process starting in the body. So that's what thermography is looking at, and we look at the surface of the skin with an infrared camera that can see patterns, blood profusion, generalized inflammation long before maybe you'd feel that symptom. When we can see something early enough, we don't have to necessarily put in treatment. Now, we always suggest that someone go and see their medical doctor. However, when we see things in this very early process, we can oftentimes do things like diet change, supplementation, lifestyle choices and changes, go to a chiropractor, a doctor of oriental medicine, and do preventive type things.
We have an aromatherapy bar, which I didn't mention. Really, no one in this area has an aromatherapy bar. We can custom blend. Aromatherapy works on the emotional components, a lot of physical, but also a lot of the emotional that we ignore in our civilization. You get into more of the Eastern medicine, it's a whole body, where we tend to look at symptoms, where the aromatherapy really hits that emotional component. So we do that. We have a pet line. Believe me, our furry friends are our babies, so we have a whole line of pet products that are just phenomenal. We have a children's line that are very specific for more children's ages. We're not doctors. We don't diagnose. We don't treat diseases. I feel good when I get up and I come in here, and I can tell you I have seen such miracles. People walk out of this building that didn't think they had hope. If you would like to reach us, you can call us at 352-243-3588. We're located at 702 West Montrose Street in downtown Clermont. That's a historic part of downtown.
I'm Angela Torito, and I'm the owner of the Barn Yarn, and this is my daughter Anna. I opened the shop June 6, 2014. My shop is not a typical yarn shop. I teach a lot of different fiber arts, but the reason that I'm here is to teach people how to create. What inspired me to create this shop was the fact that I was on the farm for a number of years, knitting, crocheting, spinning, working with the animals, and loving the small farm life, but also wanting to share that and teach people how you go from animal to the final product, the yarn or are using the raw fibers actually even in weavings and different projects. But a lot of people weren't willing to come to my house to share that. It was a little awkward, you know, inviting people to your house. So I decided, what a better way than to help my community by helping the downtown historic district and bring my love for the fiber and for animals and for small farming right downtown. What a better place, Clermont. It's every kind of customer, because what's unique about what I was hoping to create by opening the shop was to bring every and anybody with any skill to be able to learn something new, to try something different. And I also have an organic coffee that my husband and I came up with a blend in 2011, and we have a small roasting company. They're just north of Orlando area that's been roasting that for us.
I work full-time as an electrical engineer. I'm an electrical contractor with my father. We have an electrical company, and she was talking about starting a business for a long time, and we kept thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to be a lot of work for everyone, but she really wanted to do it, and she was set on it, and we were like, okay, I guess we'll take the plunge with you. So when she finally opened, we knew it was gonna, well, the year before we opened, we renovated the building, and she designed everything. So, you know, I work in construction. We kind of knew what we were getting into, but she had this great idea for it, and we couldn't exactly see how it was going to work out, but she could.
Because that's the engineer and the artist working together. Yes,
So
that was a little difficult.
It turned out beautifully, but throughout that year, we kind of realized how much work we were going to be putting in at the barnyard, and it was exciting, and we're really excited that she's able to open this, and now I get to work full-time with my father and then come here and volunteer with my mother, and we get to spend a lot of time together. I handle a lot of the business end, the back end, a lot of the accounting for all of her inventory, and make sure everything's taken care of so that she can focus on the art and teaching and the community. She has a lot of things that she does for the community, and she doesn't have time to worry about the back end of everything. So when she's out teaching classes to ladies at lunch, or if she's teaching, you know, sometimes she goes out and does outreach at schools. She also has, you know, she built a little free library out in front of the store just to bring community members to share library books, and, you know, she likes to encourage reading amongst everyone, including the youth, and she likes to inspire creativity amongst adults.
I think if I was to give advice to someone about opening a new business, and especially a business in the arts, which is very difficult regardless of what art it is, performing arts, visual arts, it's a difficult thing for the person who has the vision, unless they have support of someone who can manage the business end. And I have found, prior to me even opening, I discussed with a few friends who have yarn shops throughout, not in the state of Florida, but in other states, and they had given me that advice also, that make sure you have somebody who can handle the business end. So that's really why, when Anna said she'd help me, I said, okay, then let's do this. So now I'd like to show you how we go from the actual fiber off of the animal to the final product, which would be the yarn that we spin that you can use in your project that you make. So the first part of processing your fiber is to pick it, or as we call it in the fiber industry, skirting your fiber. So here's just raw fiber right off of my sheep, and you can see this is full of vegetation. So what I've got to do is I lay it out here, and then I start picking the vegetation out of it. This is a very tedious process, but it'll be worth it in the end. And this is right off of my sheep. So normally I'd have it a little bit cleaner. Sometimes I wash them before we shear them, but we didn't do that this time. So I have extra fiber, extra debris. And then you can shake it and flip it, and you continue on until you get the majority of the dirt and debris out of the fiber. The next process after that is to wash the fiber, and I usually take a big bin and I fill it with water, and I rinse it a number of times until it becomes the dirt particles become looser, and it takes about probably at least a couple hours to get all the dirt out of this fiber because it's extremely dirty. then we can go inside and I'll show you the next step. So after we dry the fiber, after it's been washed and cleaned, and if it's wool, all the lanolin is out, because the lanolin is the sticky oils in the sheep's wool, and you need to get that out so that it's not sticky when you use it for your knitting. Then we dye the fibers, and these are some already dyed with a little bit of shiny stuff in them. So now let me show you what we do after that. This is, take the fibers and put them on this carder. This takes all the fibers that are all mushed up and puts them in the same direction so that the length of the staple, which is the length of each individual fiber, is all going in the same direction so that you can then spin it and turn it into yarn. But first we have to card it. And there's a couple of different ways to card. This is a drum carder. This is one method. You just keep adding different fibers until you're done adding them. You feed the fiber in through here. It's one method, or you can actually take a piece of the fiber and actually place it on the top, exactly where you'd like it to be, on the drum, and then roll it. Then, when you fill this up with enough fiber and you're ready to spin it, you pull it off. And you've got fiber ready to spin. After we get the fiber ready off of the drum carder, which is one method of processing, there's many others, but that's just one of processing it for spinning, then you spin. And this is Faith, and she's showing us on a wheel how she turns this fiber into yarn. And she's spinning traditional yarn, which is very fine and thin yarn. But there's many other types of yarns. You can use different wheels and spin very thick and chunky yarns. And then there's also something we call art yarn, which incorporates a lot of different interesting fibers and baubles and things. So stop by the shop and learn a little something new. Let me help you, inspire you to create. We're at 713 West Montrose Street in the historic district of Clermont, Florida. Check us on our website at www.thebarnyarn.com. Can't wait to meet you. Looking forward to helping inspire you to create.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Clermont Choice of Champions. Until next time, I'm Darren Gray, wishing you a Champions Day.